History on planet Nibiru, the broken shield of their atmosphere. It was the main focus of the Council of the Wise and the ruling king to fix this problem. There were no rains on the planet, and the winds were super potent, and no springs were coming from the ground. The crops were all affected. There were no fruits and no grains growing. In the lands, mothers could no longer breastfeed, and there was trouble in the palace. This is when a charge spread. There were the first signs of a rebellion coming out. King Enki, as his first wife, chose his half-sister, which was again the law of the seed. Bearer of the Shars, the lady was. And this is what the people called her. They called her Ninshar, Lady Bearer of the Shars, the Shar being the year. The King Enki had a son, but it was with a concubine. So his firstborn son was of a concubine and not of his wife. And Ninshar, his half-sister wife, did not have a son. Since they couldn't use the law of the seed, it went back to the law of succession, where the firstborn son inherited the throne. So at this point, the throne went to the concubine's son. He was the seventh to rule Nibiru. He was the seventh king. His royal name was Duhuru, which means in the dwelling place made. And he was born in the house of the concubines, not in the palace. Duhuru chose a wife that was a love of his from when he was young. Tablets say he chose a woman from his youth to be his queen. He chose the first wife because he loved her. But get this little nugget that is slipped in here. And this is what it means when it gets translated. He chose a wife because he loved her and not because he was his daughter. Uru was her royal name, which means she who is by my side. And at this point, there was a lot of confusion in the royal court. Sons didn't get to inherit, and wives were not half-sisters. And there was more and more suffering in the lands. People becoming less fertile, and the fields forgot how filled they used to be. There was no birth in the palace, nor a son or a daughter was born. At this point, we have 7 of An's children that were kings, and then none of his children were on the throne. This is because on the palace steps, they find a child. More in the next video about Planet Nibiru's history.